All right, sometimes I get questions from students about why we choose to play the melodic style, in other words, crossing from string to string, over the single string style where we're playing alternating thumb and index on the right hand and playing longer streams of notes on each string, much like a guitar. Why would we choose one style over another? Neither is better at everything. It's like a hammer versus a saw. So the trick here is to realize that the principle of the two styles is different. The principle of melodic style is that we're bouncing back and forth from fretted strings to open strings, so we can kind of zigzag up and down the neck without having to repeat too many notes on one string. So melodic style is actually kind of a misnomer. It's been called cross string playing, which is more accurate. And so basically what we're doing is learning how to play back and forth from clever patterns so we don't repeat too many notes on the same string. Let me demonstrate the principle there. Let's say you have the first three notes of a G scale on your open G string. Open, second, and then fourth fret. So that's like a baby G scale. Okay? Now, say we don't want to play all those notes on the G string. So we're going to start with the open G string, and instead of grabbing the A at the second fret, we're going to ask the question, where else does that same A note live? Well, after some experimentation, you will find that that A note lives on the D string at the 7th fret. Same note. Okay? So now, instead of going open G, G at the 2nd fret, why wouldn't we go open G, and then G, A over here on the D string at the 7th fret? Okay? So instead of going G and then hitting the A on the same string, we would go G and then hit the A over here on the D string at the 7th fret. Now watch the science here. If I play this fast, even if I alternate, I can go fairly fast, but it still has a choppy sound because it's on the same string. If I go to the melodic style approach and I go back and forth from this open note to this fretted note, watch how much smoother and faster that phrase will be. There's literally no speed limit to it, okay? So the principle is that in the melodic, or more accurately cross string style, we're bouncing back and forth from open strings to fretted notes to avoid too many notes on one string. Now, let's play the scale again. Here's the whole G scale played as a guitar player would play it. With lots of notes running along on single strings. Now, let's play it as a melodic player would play it. He would go here, and then find the second note on another string, and then bounce over to the second string, and then find the next note over here on the third string at the 5th fret, and then bounce to the open first, and then found the next note here, and then here. I've never hit a string more than once in that scale, and that's why we have the classic melodic scale. It's got the typical buttery, smooth, flowing legato sound, which is very attractive, okay? The single string style, on the other hand, is going to sound a little more clunky, which is cool if you're playing different styles of music. Now, here is the rub. When you're playing melodic positions, because you're using open strings, guess what? Open strings can't change to another key. They're locked to a certain tone. So it's a lot harder to transpose in the melodic style without learning an entirely different scale position. So if I have my G melodic scale, and I can't just move it up 2 frets and play the same thing. Does not work. However, if I have my single string scale, which doesn't need open strings, guess what? Move it up 2 frets. Move it up 1 more fret. I can move that single string scale to any key in the universe on a moment's notice. So the first difference between cross string playing and single string playing is that we can transpose a lot easier in single string playing than we can the melodic style or cross string, okay? The second thing is the sound and the tempo. Melodic style is faster and smoother. Single string style usually is a little bit slower, a little more choppy. But see, for certain approaches, like a bluesier approach, you want that sound. So generally when you're trying to play something fast and fluid sounding like a fiddle tune, opt for the melodic. If you're playing something a little more funky and bluesy that still has that melody, you can opt for the single string. Single string style is better for, now this will be argued by some out there, free improvisation where I can just make up stuff off the top of my head. That's why Bela Fleck and those guys will do a lot of jazz in that style, because we can just reach for a note without worrying what string it's on. When you're playing melodic style, improvisation is a lot more challenging because not only are we thinking about what's our next note, I'm thinking, how do I avoid hitting a string a bunch of times in a row? How do I find it on the next string? So we're thinking about 2 things. What's our next note? How do I not break out of my cross string? It's tough. Unless you're Pat Cloud or something, who's a brilliant genius at that. So generally, if you're free improvising, the single string style is often a stronger approach, and the melodic style is better for composing stuff. Another thing about the comparison of the 2 styles is that often in melodic style we pre-compose stuff. We pre-compose a lick. I wrote that out ahead of time. Single string, I can have the luxury of making up licks because I don't have to think about the style. I just find the note. When you're using both the cross string or melodic style and the single string, think about the principles of faster and smoother, often better for melodic; choppy, punchy, and bluesy, often better for single string; composing licks, do them melodically; making up licks, try single string. If we're playing fiddle tunes that are fast and buttery, go melodic. If we're playing fiddle tunes that are choppy, like a lot of Irish music, go with a single string. In fact, it sounds like a tenor banjo and it's more appropriate. So they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. Okay, so to learn more about those, be sure to check jamalong.org. Look at beginning melodic banjo to learn the melodic style, and then go ahead and check out Scales for Improvisation to learn the single string style, and that will get you the equipment to add both of those styles into your playing, thereby developing the banjo matrix. Click on the first link in the comments below to get the full lesson with tablature, notation, and audio tracks with adjustable tempos. 1, 2. And get a free 40-minute live video session, $50 value, with purchase of this lesson to go over this song together in detail and make learning a breeze. Simply request by email or instant message on the website after you purchase.